Sebastiano DiGaetano, Italian pronunciation, Seba, modifier letter vertical line Stja, modifier letter triangular colon no D, Latin small letter script G E, modifier letter vertical line T, modifier letter triangular colon no C. 1862. Disappeared March 1912, was an Italian-born New York City Mafia boss of what would later become known as the Bonanno crime family. He briefly attained the title Capo dei Capi, English, boss of bosses of the Sicilian-American Mafia, after Giuseppe Morello had been convicted of counterfeiting money in 1910. DiGaetano stepped down as boss of his crime family in 1912, and disappeared shortly thereafter. Early days. Sebastiano DiGaetano was born in the town of Castellammare del Golfo in Sicily in c. 1862, to Arcangelo DiGaetano and Angela de Benedetto. He first arrived in the United States on October 24, 1898, with his wife and daughter joining him in 1901. By 1908 the DiGaetano family had moved from Manhattan to the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, with Sebastiano becoming the barber. DiGaetano's daughter, Angelina, married Joseph Ruffino, who was arrested for burglary in 1913 along with future Mafia boss Joe Masria. Brooklyn crime boss DiGaetano is believed to have become the boss of the Williamsburg-centered Mafia sometime in 1909 or 1910. DiGaetano first came to the attention of authorities in December 1910, when he was arrested under suspicion of orchestrating the kidnappings of 8-year-old Giuseppe Longo and 7-year-old Michael Rizzo for ransom. The charges were later dropped due to lack of evidence. A few months later, Salvatore Clementi, a Secret Service informer who was a counterfeiter in the Morello gang, was summoned to a meeting with DiGaetano. DiGaetano told Clementi to refrain from his counterfeiting activities until another mafioso, named Carmelo Codaro, who was suspected of disloyalty, was disposed of. DiGaetano was able to dictate orders to a member of a different Mafia crime family because he had been made a temporary Capo dei Capi, or boss of bosses, after the previous one, Giuseppe Morello, had been imprisoned in Atlanta on counterfeiting charges. DiGaetano had assumed that role due to his relative weakness as a crime boss. Morello had been hoping that would allow him to continue to dominate the New York Mafia from prison. However, the arrangement had collapsed by 1912, which led to Salvatore D'Aguila being selected as a permanent replacement as Capo dei Capi. In March 1912, DiGaetano stepped down as boss of his crime family and was soon replaced by Niccolo Schiro. Clementi claimed that DiGaetano was stepping down because he had lost his nerve. Shortly after he stepped down as boss, DiGaetano disappeared. Some researchers believe he and his wife may have returned to Italy. See also: Black Hand, extortion, crime in New York City. List of people who disappeared. Notes. References. Citations. Sources: Critchley, David, 2009. The Origin of Organized Crime in America, The New York City Mafia, 1891–1931. New York, Routledge. CS1 maint. Ref Harv. Link. Hunt, Thomas, 2016. Wrongly Executed. The Long-Forgotten Context of Charles Spurner's 1939 Electrocution. Whiting, Vermont. 778. ISBN 9781365528729. CS1 maint. Ref Harv. Link. Pedico, Arrigo, 1974. Joe Petrosino. Trends. By Charles Landmark Mann. New York, Macmillan, Publishing. CS1 maint. Ref Harv. Link. Warner, Richard, Santino, Angelo, Vanti Wright, Leonard, May 2014. Early New York Mafia, An Alternative Theory. Informer. The History of American Crime and Law Enforcement. CS1 maint. Ref Harv. Link. External links: The American Mafia, Boss of Bosses,